Sneaking in at midnight after spending the evening drinking with my friends at age 16 and being caught by my father, who said, "Go to bed, son. Don't let your mom see you like this." I thought, man, that's cool. I remember laying and drifting off to sleep, thinking, I got it made in the shade until morning. Hi, if you're new to my channel, I'm Grandpa Chuck. I posted a story a few days ago about a man that worked at a cabinet shop with me and several of my friends. And he was sort of a jerk. 18, 19, thought he knew everything. Women worshiped him. He was engaged. He was going to be married soon. But he wasn't ready. Well, we gave him a treatment to try to get him ready. And you can watch that video. I'll put it up right over here. But this is the story of how I learned about that lesson. I was 16. I went out drinking with some of my buddies. A lot of 16-year-olds do. And so I sneaking in the house around midnight, actually after midnight. And I got in the house and everything's quiet. The whole house is pitch dark. I'm walking through the kitchen, and over by the table, I see the glow of a cigarette. I just knew I was dead meat. My dad said, turn the light on. I turned the light on. He could tell that I had been drinking. He said, go to bed, son. Don't let your mom see you like this. We'll talk in the morning. And I remember going to bed thinking, man, I got it made in the shade. Pop is being cool about this. Until morning. Around 5:30, there come a knock on my door. It wasn't a knock, it was a bang. It was like a bomb went off. Get up, we got work to do. But it's Saturday, Dad. Don't argue with me. Get your ass out of bed and get in the kitchen. Okay. He didn't talk back to my dad. When he said jump, the only answer he wanted was, how high, sir? So I got dressed, hungover so bad. And he said, get in the truck. We're going to go have some coffee and some breakfast before we get to work. Okay. Didn't argue with Dad. Get to the restaurant. He starts sketching out on the placemat what he was going to be doing. Dad had 5 acres. Mom called it Green Acres. It was paradise to her. The place where her children could run, as long as you didn't run into rattlesnakes. But Mom loved it. Green Acres. Well, didn't have a fence. Dad decided that he wanted a nice, prestigious looking fence. So he laid out every 4 feet he wanted to post. So he had coffee. I had a Coke and breakfast meal. I don't remember what, probably eggs. But we get home and we stake out the front of the property. And we measure off every 4 feet, put a marker in the ground. And then Dad looks at me and says, better get at it. I want to post every one of those markers. I want a hole. We didn't have any posts. So you don't argue with Dad. So I got the post hole diggers and I started digging. As the day started warming up, and I don't do real well in heat, never have. I would dig a little bit and throw up a little bit. Hungover so bad. I would dig a little bit. This went on. My dad is sitting in a lawn chair under a shade tree watching me. Again, You don't argue with that. My sister would bring him coffee. He drank coffee like crazy. And he'd watch me. After about 4 hours, and I mean 4 hard working hours, because every time you look up and he's looking straight at you, you know you got to keep going. So, about after 4 hours, he comes out there and he walks up and down the line and he said, "Pretty good job. Got him straight, got him 4 feet apart. Now fill them all in." My jaw dropped. I started to say something, and he put his finger right in my nose and said, "Say one word, and I'll knock you to the ground. You want to go out and drink like a man? You're going to get your ass up the next day and go to work like a man." There was no middle ground. He never said you can't go drinking. He said, "Do it, and this is what you'll be doing at 5:30 the next morning." Now, I'm no rocket scientist, but I got the message pretty clear that if I continued down that path, he was going to make sure that a fence eventually got built around that property. I did not want to be the one digging the hole. So I didn't go drinking anymore. The moral of the story is, when you're 16, don't go drinking. And certainly don't go driving. But things were a little bit different back then. We could sneak around a little bit. Can't do that nowadays. Tried to explain that. A friend of mine tried to explain that to his grandson once. Grandson said, "But Grandpa, you did this all the time and you never got in any trouble." He said, "It's because I never got caught." But now there's a video camera on every corner. Every light pole has a camera. You do something wrong, they know exactly who it is. Well, this young 18-year-old, he made it clear that his wife was going to be his servant. And I worked with mostly married men, and we all knew he needed a crash course. So if you'd like to see how this young man straightened himself out, check out the video. No, there. And you'll see what we did. So, as always, be well, be safe, and be happy. I'm Grandpa Chuck. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye now.